commission of the crime, sentencing below the guidelines is justified.
It's weird that durational departures are harder to get than
I
dispositional
find the
departures.
facts and circumstances here justify a downward departure from the guidelines.
Ooh.
First, Officer Potter's conduct was significantly less serious than your typical manslaughter case.
So she's going to give her prison, but just reduce time.
The predicate for the manslaughter count was reckless handling or use of a firearm. Here, everybody agrees, and the evidence is undisputed, that Officer Potter never intended to use her firearm. She mistakenly drew her firearm at all times, intending to use her taser.
Then you should dismiss the case.
There were police officers and experts who testified that the use of her taser was reasonable and appropriate under the circumstances presented for officer safety reasons. The fact she never intended to draw her firearm.
She never knew she had a gun
makes
until the shot was fired.
More serious than other cases. Second, the scene was chaotic, tense, and rapidly evolving. Officer Potter was required to make a split-second judgment. That constitutes a mitigating circumstance. Finally, unlike other manslaughter 1 cases, Officer Potter's actions were not driven by personal animosity toward Dante Wright. Instead, she was acting in the line of duty in effectuating a lawful arrest. This case is highly unusual. The other officer cases tried in this court are distinguishable. This is not a cop found guilty of murder for using his need to pin down a person for 9.5 minutes as he gasped for air. This is not a cop found guilty of manslaughter for intentionally drawing his firearm and shooting across his partner and killing an unarmed woman who approached his squad. This is a cop who made a tragic mistake.
Okay.
There's that word again.
Drew her firearm, thinking it was a taser, and ended up killing a young man. Ms. Potter, will you please rise? Given all these considerations and having carefully considered the comments of the family of both Dante Wright and the comments of Kimberly Potter, as well as
Ken, I would put her entire transcript in my appeal.
It is the sentence and judgment of this court that you shall be committed to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 24 months. You shall serve 2/3 of that time, or 16 months in prison, and 1/3 on supervised release, assuming no disciplinary offenses or conditional release violations. You have credit for 58 days already served. Restitution will be reserved. There'll be a fine of $1,000 and a surcharge of $78 to be taken out of prison wages or due within 180 days.
She may not be able to pay off $78 from prison wages.
You may not use or possess any firearms, ammunition, or explosives. You have the right to appeal the conviction and sentence.
See if the appeals court gets to you in 14 months.
Of an appeal, you may apply for leave to appeal at state expense by contacting the state public defender. You may be seated, Ms. Potter.
Great result
I'd like to make
honestly,
a few
from
parting comments.
based on